This is the family uh, burial ground for the family of the late General Tito Lutwa, my late father. He lies here. This is final resting place where he lies. This is the last resting place of my mother. But the idea of the family burial ground was brought about by my father when he decided to bring all the bodies of his father, of his mother, and of his uncles and nephews. He decided to bring all their bodies in one particular place. So this is the village of Lapana in Namakora sub-county, and this is the family burial ground. And all members of our family will eventually end up being buried here when the good Lord calls them. My late father, General Tito Lutwa, joined the army as a young fellow during the Second World War. He joined the army in 1979 when he was in school. He came out of the school to see some recruitment taking place in a playing field. And when he was standing by the side of the school field with several friends, Muzungu came with a long stick and put against him. And his height was the height of that stick. And he was told automatically that he is now a member of the King's African's Rifle. He had joined the Queen's Army to go and fight in the Second World War. He resisted and he said he didn't want to join the army, but he had been deceived with four of his friends to sign some document which they did not know what it meant. Because at that time, I think my father was in class 4 or something. And hence, they were, within a week, they were told to come and say goodbye to their parents and loved ones, and they shipped out to go and start fighting in the Second World War. He fought in Abyssinia, which is now Ethiopia. After defeating the Italians, they came back, and my father then fought in Burma against the Japanese. And when the Second World War finished, my father came back to Kenya, where they joined their colleagues from Tanzania and Kenya and everybody who were in Uganda, all those who had gone to the Second World War under 4KR, the 4th Battalion of King's African Rifle, or the 4KR. They recruited in Kenya, and then at independence, each one of them went back to their own countries, and my father came back to Uganda and became part of the first Uganda army at that time. He worked his way through the ranks, through doing the troubles, the mutiny of the army. When the army mutinized, took a mutiny in Ginger Barracks against the then government. The Minister of Defense, or Nama, was mishandled in that time. During the crisis of the Lubiri crisis, my father was around. Eventually, my father went to exile in 1971 during Idi Amin's time. And he led the forces. The first group of forces he led to fight against Idi Amin was the 1972 crisis to overthrow Idi Amin. And that ended up in disaster. It was not planned, not properly organized. Idi Amin was still very strong, and Idi Amin dispelled them immediately. 1978, when Idi Amin attacked Kagera, and the Tanzanians started the fight against to remove Idi Amin from Tanzania, my father formed a group called Kikosi Maalum. Kikosi Maalum, that time KM, and Kikosi Maalum, led by my father's group, his team, led the forces, the major forces that started the fight, joined with the Tanzanians to remove Idi Amin. At that time, President Museveni had his own group called Fronansa, who were fighting on the western, I think it was the western flank when they entered Uganda. My father was managing on the central flank to overthrow and eventually by 1979, April 1979, Idi Amin was defeated and he fled Uganda. Soon afterwards, he was appointed the commander-in-chief of the defense forces of the then Ugandan National Liberation Army. He was the CDF at that time until 1985. Then in 1985, it took over government I think in June or July of 1985. It took over government from Obote briefly, and then in 1986, President Museveni then with the NRA came and took government from him. So that is the brief history of who my father is, or was rather, in South Uganda. Of course, the whole, not only this area, the whole actually sub-region are very proud of what my father did during his time. My father was the president of the country. He was the first actually to have held the highest position in the army, in any army. He was the first actually to become a president. And he did so many social responsibility and development programs in this area, which I will take a long time to build. In 1979, when my father came back after liberating Idi Amin, they built for him almost 100 huts in this place. They gave him thousands of cows as gifts, and God knows how many goats were given to him in appreciation that he had removed Idi Amin, who had tormented people in this area for many years, and of our people here. Unfortunately, our people here suffered a lot during the Konyi's insurgency. It put them very back, and now during this period, these people are suffering from Karamojong. They might look normal during now, but they have suffered tremendously, and most of them have lost their cows, most of them have lost their livelihood, and the level of poverty has raised tremendously as a result of the Karamojong raids.
We need to thank the late president, our father, one of the founding fathers of Uganda, as you've heard, a World War hero and a Ugandan hero, the first actually to become a president of Uganda, the first actually to become a four-star general in the history of Uganda, the first actually to have a son who has been a minister from the time government came to power, and is still a minister and will remain a minister. The first actually to be laid, first president to be laid in his ancestral home. We've come to pay respect to him, and we pray, Lord, as the Balaam of MK movement, we are very, very grateful that our fathers, the likes of our fathers like Mzee Museveni, we should always remember them when they are alive, and we should celebrate them even when they die. They contributed a lot to the growth of Uganda and to our independence, to our revolution, to poverty reduction. Though there are these other problems coming up due to criminality of Karamojong and other bad criminal elements, the war will be won, and we have hope. They actually in Namakora, actually in all surrounding districts affected by the Karamojong, their suffering will come to an end. Uganda,